Little black boy enters police station and cries, "Arrest my dad." The reason made everyone cry. In a quiet town, the tranquility of the local police station was abruptly disrupted when a little boy arrived, shouting, "Please, please arrest my dad." This unexpected plea left everyone bewildered, unable to imagine that the reason behind the boy's actions would deeply shock them all. On a radiant Thursday morning, tranquility reigned at the São Miguel police station. The fans spun lazily, struggling to alleviate the stifling heat as the officers savored their coffee and filled out reports with disinterest. It was a typical day of calm, reflecting the serene nature of the town. However, this peace was abruptly interrupted. The doors of the police station burst open with surprising force, revealing a figure of a boy with short curly hair and wide eyes marked by terror. He ran in, his eyes swollen from crying, casting desperate glances around in search of someone, anyone, who could help. It was Samuel, a child of just 7 years, notably small for his age and visibly terrified. Without hesitation, the boy advanced toward the reception, his small feet producing a rhythmic sound against the cold ceramic floor. With his little hands, he clung to the counter with all his strength, struggling to lift himself enough to get the attention of an adult who could offer assistance. "Please, please arrest my dad," he whispered in a trembling voice, laden with despair that reverberated throughout the room, capturing the immediate attention of all the officers present. At first, there was visible confusion among them. They exchanged perplexed looks, some interrupting their coffee breaks by setting down their cups, while others instantly abandoned the documents they were engrossed in. The boy's declaration caused an immediate uproar, stirring the atmosphere of the police station with a mix of urgency and concern. He looked at the officers, his eyes brimming with anguish, and implored again, "You need to arrest him. He has to go to jail." Immediately, Officer Claudia, a young policewoman with a gentle gaze, rushed over, drawn by the desperate plea that had reached her office. She approached with a gesture full of maternal care, taking Samuel's hand and leading him to a nearby bench. "Calm down, sweetie. Come here. Sit down," she said, lowering herself to meet the boy's eyes, trying to bathe him with a sense of security. "It's all right now. You're safe here with us," she spoke soothingly, stroking Samuel's hair in an attempt to ease his fear. Samuel, in turn, felt his heart pounding frantically, his shoulders trembling involuntarily, and tears streaming down his face. The situation enveloped him in a shroud of vulnerability and fear, making each heartbeat a palpable reminder of his state of unrest. Meanwhile, one of the officers maintained his composure, seeking to project an aura of security and understanding. He leaned towards Samuel, his voice tinged with a comforting note. "What happened, dear? You don't need to cry. You're safe with us. Can you tell us what happened?" His words, though imbued with comforting intentions, seemed to float aimlessly, unable to penetrate the invisible barrier surrounding the frightened boy. Samuel clung to Claudia's shirt, his eyes still wide and filled with tears, while the station's hall was engulfed in an atmosphere thick with confusion and concern. Around them, every officer exchanged uneasy glances, reflecting a mix of curiosity and alarm, as murmurs circulated discreetly, fueled by the unspoken question. What did this boy's father do? However, the most poignant aspect was the evident weight of Samuel's words, bearing a burden too heavy for his young shoulders, a load of emotional weight that no child his age should have to carry. Officer Claudia, still seated beside the little boy, exhibited a blend of determination and compassion. She leaned towards Samuel again, trying once more to break through the wall of pain and silence that encircled him. "Come on, sweetie," she said softly, attempting to offer comfort while gently drying the tears that insisted on tracing paths down Samuel's cheeks. Her calm voice aimed to convey a silent promise of protection and understanding, hoping to soothe the emotional storm overwhelming the boy. The station chief, Mr. Johnson, a man of imposing stature with silver hair meticulously combed back, rose from his desk with an authoritative posture. With measured steps, he approached the little boy, his presence filling the space with a blend of respect and anticipation as he attempted to unravel the enigma before him. "Hello, little one," he said, his deep voice echoing with an unexpected warmth. "What are you doing here alone? Why did you come here, huh?" Samuel's rapid, sob-ridden breathing betrayed his deep anguish. Even in the center of a circle of protective figures, there was a shine of vulnerability in his eyes, a reflection of fear that transcended the physical security of the environment. Each sob was a tangible reminder of his situation, raw expression of a young heart facing a distressing reality, wrapped in a shroud of insecurity that even the walls of the police station couldn't dissipate. Despite the questions, Samuel remained quiet, his head bowed. Gradually, a growing wave of officers, driven by both curiosity and concern, began to gather around the boy, forming a semicircle around him. With a voice that carried the intention to calm and assure, Chief Johnson leaned in again and asked, "Come on, sweetie, can you tell us what happened at your house?" Samuel made an attempt to respond, but the words he tried to form were interrupted, emerging in a broken and confused manner. "Arrest him. He can't stay at home with me. I want him to go to jail. Please," he pleaded with a voice that carried a mix of despair and urgency. His plea resonated with a force that amplified the sense of fear among all present, making the gravity of the situation palpable in the girl's disjointed words. Noticing the increasing crowd of curious officers gathering around with concern that threatened to further intimidate the little boy, the police and the chief made a prompt decision. They concluded that it was essential to change the environment to a space that offered more privacy and security for Samuel to express himself. With delicacy and a clear intention to protect him from further stress, they decided to take him to the interrogation room. This choice reflected not only a strategy to preserve Samuel's emotional integrity, but also an effort to ensure that his voice, no matter how fragile, would be heard with the attention and seriousness the situation demanded. "Come, dear," said the policewoman with a soft tone, gently helping the boy up. "Let's go to a quieter place to talk, okay?" Settling into the chair in the room designated for more private conversations, the little boy seemed to find a certain comfort, a temporary relief that made him relax slightly. Noticing this change, the policewoman took advantage of the moment to delve deeper into the conversation. "Tell me, Samuel, what happened? Did your dad hurt you? Did he do something to hurt you?" Claudia, with a mix of delicacy and determination, hoped to obtain some concrete clue that could guide her action. However, as he tried to articulate a response, Samuel's expression transformed into visible frustration, a clear sign of his internal struggle to express such complex and painful feelings. "Dad gets mad sometimes." Samuel's words faded away, disappearing before he could complete his thought, leaving a dense cloud of uncertainties and speculations in the air. "How does he get mad, dear?" the policewoman asked, her voice blending concern and gentleness. At that moment, the room was taken over by expectant silence. The officers present, their minds in a frenzy, began piecing together the dark puzzle, imagining scenarios none of them wanted to confront. They questioned if they were facing a case of domestic violence or abuse. What could be so severe that a child would seek refuge at the police station and beg for his father's arrest? The chief, sensing the weight of the moment and the sadness in Samuel's eyes when mentioning his father, lowered himself to the boy's eye level and, with a gentle voice, tried to convey security and understanding. "We'll help you, Samuel," he said kindly. "But for that, I need you to try and tell us a little more, okay?" Still struggling to hold back tears, Samuel nodded. A simple but significant gesture that demonstrated his trust in those who were willing to help him. "All right then, I'll ask you some questions, and you can answer with yes or no, okay?" suggested the chief, seeking to make it easier for Samuel to share his experience without feeling overwhelmed. Johnson, trying to clarify the situation, asked gently, "Is your dad home now?" "Yes," murmured Samuel, in a brief response that revealed his distress. "And how did you get out of the house?" he continued, encouraging him to share more. Wiping away the tears that still fell, Samuel revealed, "Dad was sleeping. I unlocked the door and ran." The chief and the policewoman, focusing on unraveling the boy's confused narrative, sought details that could illuminate the case. With a voice full of maternal care, the policewoman asked, "Samuel, is your dad very aggressive? Does he hit you?" Samuel's hesitation before responding was palpable, as if weighing each word. "I've been hit a few times," he confessed, his breath quickening. Samuel's response intensified the officer's concern, exacerbating the already tense atmosphere. They asked for the address of his house. Despite not knowing precise details, the directions Samuel provided were enough to locate where he and his father lived, a nearby area with a polluted creek, making it easy to identify the residents. When the chief asked about Samuel's mother, the atmosphere became even heavier. "Dad said she went for a walk, but she never came back." Samuel's simple recounting of his mother's disappearance petrified everyone present. The gravity of the situation became increasingly evident, with the realization that they were dealing with a case of family violence, compounded by the strange circumstance of a man raising his son without the mother and claiming she had gone for a walk. The police station quickly transformed into a hub of frenetic activity, with officers darting back and forth, coordinating efforts, and outlining action plans with urgency. A team was promptly organized to head to Samuel's residence, mentally preparing to face the worst possibilities. The chief, recognizing the seriousness of the situation, grabbed the radio with determination and established contact with the patrol car already en route to the provided address. His firm and clear voice conveyed the urgency of the moment. "Attention, unit. We have a possible 1032 code for domestic violence. It's crucial the suspect finds no opportunity to escape. Proceed with all necessary caution." This instruction was not just standard procedure. It reflected the seriousness with which the station handled cases of abuse, emphasizing the importance of acting prudently to ensure the safety of all involved, especially Samuel's. With his voice still trembling, Samuel continued to share his story, his words laden with fear. "Every night, he gets angry. He says he can't take it anymore." The officers exchanged worried glances, each trying to grasp the depth of what Samuel was attempting to convey with his anguished words. Given the gravity of the insinuations, the chief intervened, seeking clarity. "What does your dad say he can't take anymore, Samuel?" The chief's words seemed to touch a sensitive point, as Samuel's eyes filled with tears again, and he revealed with heart-wrenching simplicity, "He hit the fridge door. I got scared." In that moment, a silent understanding spread among all present. The reality of the situation became clear and unmistakable. Young Samuel was the defenseless victim of a man whose violence could no longer be ignored. The need to intervene became more urgent than ever. It was imperative to act to protect the boy and apprehend the person responsible for his suffering. While the police station prepared for the suspect's arrival, another scenario was unfolding at Samuel's home. Michael was deeply asleep, the silence of his house abruptly broken by the piercing sound of police cars pulling up in front of his home. The sight that unfolded before the officers was desolate. A wooden house with paint worn by time, cobwebs adorning forgotten corners, and tall weeds surrounding the perimeter, giving the place an almost sinister air. Without hesitation, the officers broke down the front door, invading the space with resolute authority, announcing their presence with firm commands for Michael to surrender. Taken by surprise, he barely had a chance to process what was happening before being handcuffed and led outside. His confusion verbalized in protests. "What's happening? Why am I being arrested?" One of the officers, with cold pragmatism, informed him of his rights while directing him to the patrol car. Upon hearing the word police station, Michael recoiled, his confusion giving way to panic. "Police station? No, I didn't do anything. Let me go. I have a child at home. Let me go." Michael's attempt to resist was quickly quelled by the officers, who, with cutting harshness, revealed the reason for his arrest. "Your son Samuel is at the station. It's over for you, buddy. Get in there." As he was pushed into the vehicle, the reality of the situation began to penetrate his fog of confusion. "My son? What is he doing there? Tell me." Fear gripped him as he was ordered to be quiet, and the car drove towards the police station. Anxiety and dread overwhelmed Michael, his heart beating frantically as he tried desperately to understand what had happened to his son Samuel. At the police station, the grave sound of the patrol car's engine signaled the team's return from Samuel's residence. Expectation hung heavy in the air, with all the officers lined up in palpable tension, awaiting news of the operation. But as the patrol car door opened, what emerged defied preconceived expectations. From that vehicle did not step the imposing figure of an aggressor as many had imagined, but rather a thin man whose disheveled appearance betrayed his condition. With pale skin, sunken eyes marked by fatigue, and muscles suggesting a possible state of malnutrition, Michael seemed a shadow of despair. His worn and dirty clothes mirrored a life marked by severe hardships, painting a reality that contrasted sharply with the accusations of violence. Michael's appearance, still handcuffed, provoked murmurs among those present in the station. How could this seemingly fragile and debilitated man be capable of inflicting physical harm on his own son? This doubt lingered in whispered conversations as he, confused and visibly desperate, questioned why he was there. "What's happening? Why am I here?" Michael's voice, trembling with uncertainty and fear, echoed in the room, leaving a trail of questioning about the true nature of the events that led to this situation. When Michael finally saw Samuel, a whirlwind of emotions overwhelmed him. A tremendous relief mixed with even greater concern took hold of him. For his part, Samuel, seeing his father in such a vulnerable state, did not hesitate. Contradicting all expectations of those present, he ran across the room and threw himself into his father's arms. "Daddy!" he cried, his eyes shining with tears as he embraced his father with overwhelming emotion. Michael's eyes, unable to hold back the rising tide of feelings, also filled with tears. The scene before the officers was, at the very least, disconcerting. "I thought he was mistreating the boy," commented the chief, his voice tinged with surprise and reflection as he approached with Officer Claudia. Both shared a look of incredulity at the unfolding events. Michael, still trying to comprehend the complexity of the situation he found himself in, questioned with a mix of confusion and desperation. "What? Mistreating? What are you talking about? Why am I here in handcuffs? What is my son doing at this police station?" The interaction between father and son amidst such severe circumstances cast a light of doubt on the initial assumptions, suggesting that the reality of Samuel and Michael's story might be very different from what was initially imagined. But then why had Samuel reported him? Those present in the room exchanged confused looks, searching each other's expressions for a clue on what to do next. It was in this moment of uncertainty that Samuel's innocent and thin voice cut through the heavy silence enveloping everyone. "I was the one who asked them to arrest you, Daddy," he said, his eyes full of hope directed at Michael. "But why? What did I do, son?" Michael questioned, his heart pounding irregularly, the confusion and fear evident in his voice. The perplexity was palpable on the man's face, as he alternated his gaze between Samuel and the officers in a frantic attempt to piece together this unexpected reality. The police station, once a stage of tension and confusion, fell into absolute silence. Michael, still unable to make sense of the situation and understand the reason for his handcuffs, addressed his son again, his eyes overflowing with worry and sadness. "My son, what do you mean you had me arrested? Why would you do that?" Samuel, fighting against the knot in his throat, raised his face to look at his father and, with an emotion so deep he could barely contain the tears, whispered almost inaudibly, I just wanted you to be able to eat, Daddy." This simple confession reverberated through the room like a shocking revelation, leaving everyone speechless. Samuel continued, his voice trembling with the force of the emotion driving him. "I saw on TV, Daddy. They said that in prison, people get food 3 times a day." Samuel's declaration cast a new light on the situation, a truth as unexpected as it was touching, revealing the depths of a child's concern and love for his father. Tears freely flowed down Samuel's face, each drop reflecting the purity of his broken heart. "I remember that night," he began, his voice choked with emotion. "I heard you crying. You were in the kitchen, the fridge was open, and you were so sad, Daddy, asking why there was no food. You hit the fridge and yelled." A profound silence fell over the room. Everyone present was immobilized by the gravity of the boy's confession. The raw reality of his domestic life, marked by hunger and despair, was now evident to all. Michael, under the astonished gazes, felt compelled to explain, his voice laden with a weight that only truth can carry. He began to unravel the mystery that had left everyone perplexed. With each word, the fog of doubts dissipated, revealing the sad reality of his struggle against extreme poverty, a scenario where the absence of food became a daily torment. Michael's story, told between sobs and pauses to swallow hard, was not just a tale of adversity but also a testament to the desperate love of a son who, in his innocence, saw prison as a solution to his father's hunger. The revelation, as painful as it was touching, left everyone in the room profoundly moved, confronted with the harsh reality of a family in crisis. It was a story of immeasurable sacrifice, of a father who, despite his own hunger, prioritized feeding his son as the ultimate expression of his unwavering love. Michael, facing life as a single father since the death of his wife, had constructed a delicate reality to protect Samuel. He invented the story that Samuel's mother had gone for a walk, attempting to spare his son the harsh truth of her permanent absence, never imagining that this would feed a vain hope in his little heart. The family's financial situation was precarious, exacerbated by Michael's lack of professional qualifications and prolonged unemployment. Every resource he managed to obtain was dedicated to buying food, just enough for one, and he did not hesitate to give every bit of it to his son. The result was his own growing malnutrition, a reality that Samuel was painfully aware of. Michael's desperation reached unbearable peaks after dark when Samuel was asleep. On one such night, confronted with the empty fridge, frustration consumed him, and he vented his anger on the refrigerator door, shouting about the injustice of not being able to provide for his son. Samuel, having woken up and witnessed this outburst of despair, was frightened and ran back to his room, but the scene was etched in his mind, making him acutely aware of his father's hunger. Then, one morning after the scant supplies had run out, Samuel turned on the TV, hoping to watch a cartoon. Instead, he stumbled upon a local news report discussing prison conditions. The only information he grasped was, prisoners receive meals 3 times a day. In his innocent and tender age, Samuel saw this as a desperate solution to his father's persistent hunger. This revelation propelled him to run to the police station, driven by the naive belief that by having his father arrested, he would finally have regular meals. The scene was heartbreaking. Michael, with tears streaming down his face, drew his son into an enveloping and protective embrace. "Forgive me, son. I'm so sorry for this," he murmured, his voice choked with emotion. The officers present, many of them parents, felt a tightness in their hearts. The circumstance before them served as a harsh mirror, reflecting the adversities that plague countless families, particularly in times of economic crisis. What was initially approached as a potential case of domestic violence now revealed itself as a sharp depiction of the realities faced by those on the margins of society. The investigation had transformed, unfolding into a powerful reminder of human fragility and the daily struggle against poverty. Released, Michael and Samuel returned home, their hearts filled with a renewed and intense love for each other. However, the following dawn held a surprise as unexpected as it was welcome. The two were awakened by firm knocks on the door. Upon opening it, they were met with a scene they could never have imagined. Several community members, accompanied by the police officers from the station, brought baskets overflowing with food, new clothes, and toys. Michael's and Samuel's eyes shone with joy as Samuel hurried to explore the toys. Michael couldn't hold back the tears that sprang from emotion and gratitude. Before Michael could recover from the initial surprise, the chief added an unexpected proposal. "We're looking for a janitor for the station. Would you be interested?" More tears emerged in Michael's eyes, the impact of these people's generosity hitting him fully. Accustomed to facing adversity alone, the demonstrated solidarity was something he could barely dream of. I don't even know what to say. Yes, of course, I accept. Thank you so much. May God repay you all double, he managed to express emotionally. At that moment, Samuel, drawn by the sight of the toys, ran to the door, exclaiming with joy, "Look, Daddy, so many toys." "Yes, dear, they're all for you," Michael replied, wiping his tears and sharing the pure happiness radiating from his son's face. That day transformed into a landmark of happiness and hope, a memorable reminder of the power of community and human compassion. In the following week, the police station, once a place Michael could never have imagined setting foot in, became his workplace, refuge, and the start of a new chapter in his life. As the days passed, the touching story of Samuel, who had had his father arrested so he could eat, echoed throughout the town, becoming a beacon of inspiration for the community to mobilize in support of the needy. Inspired by Samuel's story, volunteer groups began organizing donation fairs and social assistance programs to ensure no family suffered from hunger or lacked basic resources. Samuel's simple gesture, driven by unconditional love for his father, ended up transforming the entire community, bringing aid to many needy families. Thank you for watching. Comment below what you thought of this story and from which city you are watching us. Leave your like and subscribe to our channel so that together we can build a huge community that shares inspiring stories. See you next time.